So you're into RC, but you wonder whether you should have a 3D printer or not. I'm going to show you a few examples of what I use the 3D printer for in RC. You decide for yourself. Is the 3D printer going to work for me? I design pieces, and I work with CAD, and I'm able to make pieces to my liking. But there's also websites like Thingiverse where you can download STL files and you can print off stuff that somebody else has already designed. I am starting to upload things to Thingiverse, and I like sharing what I make. But let me show you a few things that I do here. So for example, basic stuff like making a tray for my drivers. I bought these all individually, so I didn't have anything to put them in. They were just in my box. So I just recently started making trays for all of these, organizing them, and I'm printing one right now as we speak, and that one is for my MIP drivers. So I'm just getting everything organized in the toolbox. I make organizers like this, for example. This is just something that sits on my bench, and I have glues and I throw stuff on here, little parts that I'm working with, and just a tray to organize stuff. This is something that was a larger print and messed up, but I ended up using it for this. But it was also going to be an organizer just for some envelopes and stuff. But that's another thing here. Got my RC money right there. This is something that I found on Thingiverse. This is a GPS holder. This is one of those GPSs you strapped on a car. And this is a holder that somebody already designed but sat down, and I was gonna do something up, just a cage to put on this so that when I do flip, I don't bang on this thing directly. So that's pretty cool. Nice and solid. It's got some slots in it for straps. This is some X-Max stuff. This is a switch holder for the Max 5 ESC. That's something I found on Thingiverse as well. This is a light bar that goes on the back of the truck there on the body. 3D printed light bar with some LEDs in it. This is something that I did which did not hold up. So as you guys know, 3D printing with PLA, or I'm running PLA Plus right now. This is PETG right here, or PETG, whatever you call it. But this broke anyway. This is supposedly stronger than PLA. But this is a very high stress spot on these bars, and this is the second set of bars that I break. Luckily T-Bone has replaced both of those sets for me. This looked really cool when it was on here, and I made these because I broke one side, one corner, and I just did it for all four corners. I did these braces. The back one had X-Max logo on the back and kind of wrapped around the back a little bit. This one failed. You see on this is the stock body that it came with. I have this piece right here. So this piece just goes right into the stock screw location, and this provides protection right here on the body. When you roll over, it doesn't scratch up the front of your hood so bad. So then before I had this piece on here, I had the T-bone cage on here, and I made it touch the body so that they can kind of help each other and stay in one piece. But again, this thing's got a lot of weight, and I can't expect some plastic to hold up to it. This T-bone stuff is super strong. I have it on my Revo, and I have it on my Outcast. And when you buy the Traxxas accessory light kit, they want you to mount it right here. You can see I have the screws up here where I mounted it previously when I first bought it. I 3D printed this mount so I can mount it right underneath the bumper. I like this location a lot better. It's nice and protected. When you wheelie and stuff, there's nothing that ever hits it. So that's nice and protected there. And big advantage is that when you take the body off, or if you land really hard and the body flies off, not pulling on your cable, because right when you had the light bar in here, you have to have a cable that's connected to the box inside. So this way you just pull the body off and your lights stay intact and they stay on, and so that's a plus. On the topic of body protection, so this is my Arrma Big Rock. This is something that I drew up for this. So I've got the skid plates on the top. I've got this front thick, kind of like a hood scoop or whatever you want to call it. But anyways, I checked it, and you know, depending on the angle you hit, it's always rubbing these plastics more than anything on the truck. This is all printed solid infill, because with 3D printing you actually get the option to print solid infill, or you know, 20% infill or 60% infill. So that just means how dense this printing is. And I'll show you an example on the box that I'm printing now. You'll be able to see the webbing inside and how it's hollow. But anyway, so these are 100% infill. It does take a long time, and maybe it uses a little more material, but I figure with pieces like this, I mean, how much would you pay for a kit like this if you had to purchase it from RPM or something, you know? And if I break a piece, I'll just throw the individual piece on the printer and we have a replacement. So I've got that. This is my E-Max body, but it's a pretty beat up body. The back here had a hole all the way through the body, right in the back edge. So I made this piece here. It's got another plastic reinforcement inside, and it's got this piece here, and then I just shoe glued it all inside of there. These screws are holding the two plastic pieces together. I made this roll bar for it. This is all 100% infill, so these are solid pieces. You can see how much I rolled that over and worn the edges off. And they're actually protecting my light. I purchased these lights off of eBay. I wanted to mount them up on the top here. They're super bright, and they're protected with this roll bar. So I've already flipped this thing quite a bit, and it is stays in shape. So This actually has the eRevo 2.0 motor in here. It's a Mamba Monster X. This thing's too fast. This will do 6S. Too much for a T-Max or E-Max. But I will be testing this, and we'll be putting, I'm not sure if I can put my GoPro on here because I know I always flip this thing. I'll put my GPS back here, tuck it away, and we'll get a speed reading on it. But this will be on my channel. This is a buggy that I recently purchased. This is it's an RC 8.2E. It was like in new shape. This is from today, running it today. So then the receiver box was missing the cover. Well, actually had it, but he had notched it. This arm, the way he had it set up, the receiver box was in the way, so he just cut the piece out. So there was no way to seal the receiver in there. So I made a cover for that. You see the subscribe button there for Ed RC channel. So then I have that. That fits like a glove on there, nice and tight. Almost feels waterproof. I actually have to push it around the edges here to get it to seal down. So that's a win there. They do sell this piece still. I just it's something that I threw together really quick, and I made it my own custom colors to match this here. I got some blue in there and some black, and you know, my message there to subscribe. So I think it's a win all around. Looks better than just going with the stock piece. On my eRevo 2.0 here, I have the servo eliminator. This is a piece that I just drew up and printed, and it says eRevo on there. I had broken the antenna mount off of the receiver box, and if you see, I made just a little plastic plug that glues perfectly in place there, and my box still had the two pegs there, so I made it fit in between, and it glues right in there. So I've got an antenna holder again. The famous Giga Crusher, if you guys have watched my channel, a few of those videos are of this truck here. And so in my videos, I did not have this mount for it. You'll notice that the onboard camera footage that I have on the last video that I did, it was super shaky. I had just strapped a GoPro mount to the back here, and I did it with some zip ties, and this thing was rocking back and forth, and it was causing super shaky video. Those GoPros have nice stabilization, and it wasn't enough to compensate for that shaking there. So then I made this mount here. It's got a groove for this bar, it's got a hook for the front bar, and it's got a GoPro mount right there. It's got a hole for my power switches right here, so I'll be able to switch that on and off. This hooks on the front, goes right on that bar, and then I have slits here where I can either put some zip ties in there, or I have some Velcro that's this width, and I'll just wrap it around there and tie it down. So that's something I did for this. Also on this truck, when I originally bought it, both of the running gears, the final gears on the transmission were stripped out. They were missing teeth. They're plastic gears. This is the actual part here, and I could not find them. They were not on eBay. I couldn't find them anywhere. So then I copied the pieces that were in there, and I made a perfectly working gear. And I did run it in my very first video. I was running it with this gear, and right towards the end of the video, I did break some teeth off of the gear that I printed, and I printed that in solid ABS. So obviously it was just not strong enough. It did break, however, on landing one of the jumps, and normally that's when you break gears. So then I was just gonna drive it with these and just have some spares, but luckily I keep looking on eBay, and I always keep looking for parts for this just to see if there's any good parts that I should stock up on while they're available or while they're out. And luckily I found somebody post these gears. So this is a pack of 2 gears. That's what you need for the transmission, and so that's exactly what I needed. So then what I did is I made another one of these, and I used it for reverse, because reverse is something that I don't jump in reverse, and I really don't I don't drive around in reverse a lot. So then I used that for reverse, and I used one of the ones out of the package for forward. And you guys have seen my video. I've jumped it pretty good, and it's been holding up fine. I've used reverse on my previous video, and it's been holding up just fine. So then you know, it has its use. I wouldn't say gears is one of the things that you want to be making on a 3D printer, but it has its use. And then also, since I do have this file for the 3D gear, I can, if I ever wanted to, I can have this machined out of aluminum. I did price that out, and it was about the $100 range, and you know, if I bought 2 or 3 of them, it'd drop it down to 60-70 bucks a piece. So then, I mean, that is an option. And this truck, I probably would do it if I ever had to do it. So there is free software, and it is very good, and you only have to pay for it if you use it for commercial purposes. So, and I don't remember the name off the top of my head. The only reason why I didn't learn that program is because I use a 3D program for work. I'm a jewelry designer. I'm actually a jeweler. I've been a jeweler for 30 years. So then I do jewelry design on CAD. I've been doing that for about 6-7 years. The program that I use for that is a very powerful program, and I've been using it for so long that I can just whip stuff up on it pretty easy. I already know how everything works. I already know what all my tools are for, and so then, you know, there's no reason to learn another program. I was actually starting to get a little confused when I tried learning that free programs. So I just let it alone and I just use what I have. But the reason why I mention all of this, I've learned how to use that program strictly off of just YouTube and the instruction manual that was included with the program. When I bought the program, I actually had the opportunity to go out to Louisiana and train for 3 days on the program. I ended up not doing it because I started picking up on it on YouTube. I started making just what I was getting orders for, and when I would get stuck, I would read up and I would see what else I needed, what tools I needed to make the piece that I wanted to make. YouTube is awesome. It's full of information, and if you really want to learn how to do something, you spend your time on YouTube and you're going to learn how to do it. So then that's how I learned that program, and it has been so good for me. It's one of the best things that I think that I've learned throughout the years, just willingly like that, and I'm able to fix things. I'm able to make a handle for something that broke in the house. I'm able to make child safety locks. You know, I buy something that doesn't fit, I'm able to make a piece for it to make it fit. So I use 3D printing all the time. It's strong enough for most applications, and I think it's well worth whatever investment you're going to pay for a machine and whatever investment you're going to pay for in time and learning a 3D program and learning the whole process. So that's parts for the Giga Crusher. So here's another piece that I'm working on. I have several of these LST platforms. I actually have 3 of them that are complete in nitro, and I had enough parts to build another nitro one. I just didn't have a fuel tank. I had an old tank that I wasn't sure was sealed very well. I think it had a crack in it. And then actually I had a spare X-Max motor, and I had a spare X-Max VXL8S ESC. So I started making a conversion here with LST. This piece here is a piece that I printed up on a 3D printer. I designed it and drew it up, but it's got a nice platform for the ESC. It's screwed in. I put little holes with reinforcements on the back there. This tray screws right into the chassis. It's got grooves for the Velcro straps. I actually have a battery pack that fits just the way it is right here, and I have a shorter pack that I have these holes here, and I just put a spacer in there, and the shorter pack will fit right in, and it's nice and secure, and it still straps down. These old servo locations here, I have little cutouts that fit right into them, so that adds a good solid support, you know, for impacts and stuff. So I'm really happy with the way this piece is here, the way I designed it. I also printed that solid infill because I plan on jumping this thing, and I don't want that just breaking off with everything on there. And for my second battery, I'm actually going to angle it right here. I'm trying to get the batteries as low as possible because they do make a battery tray. Basically you stack the batteries on top of each other, or you stack one battery here and one battery here, and so then I'm trying to keep the batteries down as low to the chassis as possible. I already got a real heavy motor on here, so then the other battery is going to go sideways right here. Similar tray, but it's just a solo tray by itself. And so this thing's coming along. This doesn't need a lot of work actually. All the drivetrain's in. I just need to mount some shocks and some wheels, and she should be ready to go. Servos are in already. This is coming up. I'll make a video on that. So there's no 3D printing on this truck here. The only reason why I brought it out is because I am going to be using some 3D printing in finishing this truck. This truck here is another Giga Crusher. This one here, I got it with 2 engines that were not properly installed on here. This is the wrong mount, and there was no way to tighten this down. These gears are all chewed up because the guy didn't get the right heights in here, so it was just a real bad job. He told me these gears get really hot when you run it. You have to put grease on them periodically because or else they'll melt. I didn't know about Giga Crushers, so I just thought there was a whole lot of power going into this thing, but no. You actually have to have the motors mounted right at the center level of this. Otherwise your gear mesh on the 2 clutch bells will not sync up, and you're basically just grinding away at the gears. So he had this all stuffed with grease in there, big mess. For this truck here, I'm missing 1 tank as well. One of the tanks had a big crack in it, and these tanks are not available. The shape of this tank is a lot like the T-Max tank, and I was gonna make a base for here in 3D print because this base screws to the tank, and then the base screws to the chassis. So I was gonna 3D print a support here for a T-Max tank and just do 1 for each side for the 2 motors. Luckily somebody already did that, and that's on Thingiverse. Thanks for that. So all I have to do is download that, print a couple off, and 2 T-Max tanks, and we're good to go, or this and 1 T-Max tank, whatever. Need 3D printing for that. This is a body that I got with my RC 8.2E. This is a nitro body. Obviously that car is a conversion, so then this was the original body that he had on there. It's got a hole for the nitro engine, so I wanted to plug that up and use this body. So I 3D printed this piece here. I followed the contours on the body here, and that will go right inside of there. And I could just screw that in, put 4 screws in there, and then shoe glue the rest on the inside here. So that's just a way to plug that up, and you know, just a basher body or whatever. Just I hate throwing away. It's hardly got any scratches on it. This is fully 3D printed GoPro mount. The only thing that's not 3D printed, of course, is these nuts here, and you buy those on Amazon. A big bag of these. I'm already missing. This is about a quarter of what comes in here, but this is, I think it was like 11 or 12 bucks or 15 bucks or something like that. But other than that, everything here is 3D printed. The arms are 3D printed. This case is 3D printed. It snaps open. GoPro goes right inside of there. This is a file that I found on Thingiverse for this case. The only thing it did not have is this lens protection, and I added that in my 3D program. But I like the way the rest of this goes together. It just clamps together. It's a nice tight fit. That should hold that in there pretty good. This is one that I fully designed, and this has got a hinge. Put the GoPro in there, hinge it closed. The clips broke off on this, so if I do make a V2 version of this, I have to make everything a little bit thicker. But I found that one's fine. I like mine with the hinge in there a little better, but I was in a hurry, you know, whatever. I don't feel like drawing it up again. But these things are so handy. These are just the GoPro pads. Stick these on all the different bodies on the cars, and you know, just print up a bunch of these. If you need something with a curve, just like the ones that come with the GoPros, you can print that up with a curve. This one here, this base here, this clip too, this is a generic, this is not a GoPro clip, so that's just something I custom made. This here has the contour of the bottom of the T-Max, and so I'm going to mount this permanently on the T-Max. I had double-sided tape that on there, but with the weight of the camera and just running around, that came loose. So I'm going to actually put a couple holes in the chassis and just permanently mount that on the bottom. It doesn't really stick out much, and it's in a spot where this doesn't get in the way. So I'll be able to just clip my camera right onto there, and it sits right next to the body, and it's got a nice view right out of the side, right above the tire. 3D printing is not super strong, so then if I do wreck, I'd rather just have something of this break off instead of, you know, really putting a bunch of force on the camera. So one of these arms will either break off or give away, and I can just mount another one. I got spare arms. You could do all different angles. You could do arms that'll 90-degree, arms that are just swivels. You know, all this stuff is super compatible. So that's a genuine GoPro piece there that clips perfectly into these bases. So that's a nice tight fit there. So that's the way that mounts up right there. Here's the double-sided tape that I used, but that came right off. So I'm just gonna put a couple of little screws in there, and this will be my camera vehicle. Get some cool views right above the tire there. And I can always make different size arms for this. Make one that sticks out further. I can, you know, do whatever. So you got flexibility when you make your own stuff. This is just something fun that I'm working on too. This is a Revo. This is the shorter chassis Revo. It's one of the older ones. This one's got an OS 18 in it. I might not leave this OS 18 in there because it's a pretty good performing engine. This is going to be more of just a fun truck, just something to run on the streets and just get some attention. So this, I did make this custom bumper here. I still have 2 more of these diamonds that are going in here, and they actually have pins that hold this top piece in. So this is replaceable. If I flip it, this breaks. I can just print up a new piece. I can print up a new piece of this. Those screws right there screw right into their stock bumper mounting spot. I have grooves cut out for the body, so it fits right into these grooves here. Provides a little bit of strength to the body. I did need to print longer body mounts for the rear. This rear here was a little short, and so I think they make a longer one that you can buy, but just why not print it, you know? If it breaks, print another one. Printed these louvers. This is something I designed and print for this. So I have some plans for the body as well. I really wish this body was black. You guys know what body this is, leave it down in the comments. I would like to get another one in all black and make this more of like a Mad Max style car. This is a body that I bought. It came with a bunch of stuff that I bought, and I'm not sure who makes it. I don't see any markings on it, but I haven't really looked around for it much. It's just something I threw on here recently, and I started building this stuff for it just to make it look like a Mad Max style vehicle. So then I got the louvers on the back, nice old school look there. So I plan on cutting the front windshield out, and I plan on making it look like metal bars on the front there. I want to make a couple of scoops for the back here. Those will help bring some air into the body. This being open is going to bring some air into the body. And then also I plan on doing some kind of, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a scoop on the top where it tapers and it throws the air into the motor, or if I'm gonna do some kind of a roof rack with maybe like a gun on there or something, you know, a turret or something. I want to make it look cool. I've already got the design for the rear bumper on the computer. I just need to free up the printer so that I can print that out. But it's very similar styling to this. It'll be a solid black bumper with you know, silver metal. This is supposedly like aluminum or metal look here. So I've got the bars that go here, kind of a rustic look. Something cool. I think that looks pretty cool. So that wraps up this 3D printing video. I'm glad you guys watched this. Thanks for sticking around. I have a bunch of ideas for my channel, and I hope you guys enjoy my content. I wish you guys would subscribe. It'd help my channel out, and it'd motivate me to keep making some more stuff for you guys, make some more videos. Got plans to run all these vehicles, so a lot of these haven't been running in many years. Some of these have been sitting for, you know, I still got my original Kyosho Rampage up there. I haven't driven that thing in probably 20 years. I plan on getting it going, so it should be ready to go. I've got a brand new Schumacher Fusion 28. I'll be breaking it in and running it for you guys. That's kind of a vintage 3-speed 10-scale sedan with the 28 size engine. Pretty cool piece there. So we'll be getting some speed runs on this to find out if it really does 80 miles an hour like it says on the box. So that'll be interesting. And then we still have to break this in, and we still have to get this going. There's plenty of toys here to mess around with on this channel, and I plan on buying some more nitro stuff. I have a few electrics, and I'm not really into them a whole lot, and I appreciate you guys sticking around. I'm going to be making some more nitro content and just sharing what I do with the nitro stuff. And I will throw some electric stuff in there as well. I just don't plan on going real crazy with it. I don't plan on buying much more electric this year. I do have some plans on buying some more nitros this year and reviewing them and putting them on the channel and doing the full test. We're in lockdown right now. This coronavirus has got us all at home, and this is the reason why I started up my YouTube channel, because I've got this extra time as well. So then once I can get out, we're gonna find some good spots to run these things, some hills, some nice long straightaways, and get some decent readings and comparisons and stuff. So stay tuned, guys. I really appreciate you guys sticking around for this. Like I said, give me a thumbs up, subscribe,